Welcome to the Popko Project Podcast, a platform for the discussion and discovery of arts and entertainment. We focus on highlighting people and events that add value to the world around us. Visit us on all social media platforms by searching the Popko Project or visit our website at thepopkoproject.com. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for listening. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Contact Keller's today and get your yard cleaned up before that dirty old man winter comes. I hate to say it, but he's on his way. The mornings are cold. They're frigid. I don't like it. I'm turning the steering wheel warmer on. I'm putting the seat warmers on. It's just miserable. But contact Keller's today. And if you're looking for snow removal services during the winter months, they can take care of that for you too. Do not break your back this winter and leave the heavy lifting to the professionals at Keller's, family owned and operated. Their team is looking forward to serving you. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services, located on Kern Street in Exeter near Blue Ribbon Dairy. Find them on social media to learn more. Welcome to the show, Bret Alexander, Pete Palladino of the Badlees. How you guys doing?
Good.
Oh man, so life is funny. I knew of the Badlees and you guys back in 1995 when River Songs came out. My mom was an absolute huge fan of you guys, and your music was playing in my home, in every car ride that year. So I've known a lot about the Badlees and the music for a long time. It's kind of weird. It's 27 years?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? 27 years?
30,
and just
32, I think, right? Who's counting?
It's just wild because, like, I mean...
Was that 1,800 hours? Was it?
I just never thought my life, my career would lead me to, working, at the weekend, or like I said before, in local radio, and obviously now having the chance to interview guys. And I see Bret often now, which has been nice. We handle your merch for the Badlees, which has been a lot of fun. So thank you for coming to Axelrad for that. But I guess, is it safe to say the Badlees are back?
Yeah. It's sure. I think that's safe to say. It's like we're a great time doing this, and I think that making this record and playing these shows and doing all the things that we're doing has been surprisingly easy. And it's just flowing nicely.
That's great. I mean, you guys have been around for a long time. And I feel like this is the first bit of new music since 2013, correct?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably, with like all five of us from the original incarnation, it's been 20 years, but
wow.
But with just various groups over time,
Yeah. So, the Badlees has kind of existed over the past, let's say, 30 years or so, in different forms. Like, what kind of brought you guys back together? I think you guys started playing shows. I don't even remember, but I know you guys did a thing at the Central, what is it called? Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame last year. Is that kind of what started the reunion, so to speak?
Yeah, Bret, you can take this.
Yeah, basically they asked us to perform at that, and we didn't rehearse or anything. We just we came in early and did a sound check of 3 songs, and then played them that night at the induction ceremony.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it followed that. That was something everybody certainly wanted to do. Wanted to show up for and do that. And then it kind of followed that if that went well, then I know that I certainly thought, we're probably going to get offered to play, So was kind of, but that was certainly the catalyst that started it.
You make it sound so easy. Hey, we got invited to play the show, and we played it, and and we just didn't even rehearse. We kind of did soundtrack, and there you go.
Kind of
true musicians,
really. Yeah, really has been that easy. Kind of. Yeah. In our case, I mean,
like the stage blow up, and
I think Pete's internet's a little spotty.
Yeah, sorry. Let me see where we're at.
That's all right.
Hopefully we're good there. Okay.
What'd you say, Pete?
Yeah, I think I don't think any of us were sitting at home saying, let's get the band back together. I just don't think that it just wasn't in our universe at that point. Everybody was busy doing other things and working on different projects, be it, family and other things. And so, this call to go do the thing for the PA Hall of Fame was it came out of the blue. And it was very, very nice that they recognized us. And so we all did want to show up and kind of honor what the legacy was. I don't think any of us were kind of viewing anything beyond that moment. Let's step on stage. Let's do our thing. And there's a certain racket that the five of us make when the five of us are in the same room. And it's and that was pretty special. And that was evident as soon as we started playing those songs. And it just, that's when it kind of grew legs. I think all of a sudden everybody looked around and said, I wonder if there's still gas in this car, Yeah,
I was going to ask you, did you guys stage that same night and look at each other and say, hey, that was fun. Let's see where this goes. Or was it, could you go home and kind of soak it all in and kind of, reconnect a day or two after, or how did that feel?
I think probably it was probably the next day the phone started ringing, I mean, it was pretty quick, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. I mean, it felt very natural,
Yeah.
I mean, I know when we booked our first actual gig, and we got together and rehearsed, and you're going through these songs you haven't played in a long time, and you're thinking, and that was the only time, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was just kind of okay, I got to be paying attention here, and because I haven't played these tunes in forever. And about 7-8 songs in, you're I'm not going to forget any of these things. It's like muscle memory just kicks in, and you're I remember all this,
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't actually done it in the better part of a decade.
Well, I'm sure it was a huge part of your life, right? I mean,
sure.
You couldn't forget.
No, well, it's I mean, the cliche of riding a bike, I mean, it really, there is a muscle memory. I mean, I played the whole time, and many of the songs I played, but, as of other guys, but, in the band, but, there was, but there's a lot of things, there's a lot of deeper cuts and things you hadn't played in a long time. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know, it's somewhere deep in there. It's all been logged away, and it all came back out really quickly. So.
That's what's been really interesting, especially back in doing some of these, we went back and we did a show for a radio station in Harrisburg, and they asked us to play river songs from it to start to finish. And then we just re-released Diamonds in the Coal and played that from start to finish. And it's amazing to me that, somewhere in our brains is exactly where we left off. So it's I think even with the Diamonds Project, there were songs that we played, maybe twice, and they were okay, that's what it sounds like. That's what it should sound like, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is River Songs the album that kind of put you guys on the map?
Nationally, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great songs on that album. I mean, like I said, I remember vividly, just being at home and my mom put it on. And surprisingly, I have never seen the Badlees perform.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I know. I'm an idiot. Luckily, you guys are performing coming up though.
Mm. When did you start working at the Weekender, John?
I started there as an intern in 04, and then I was full time in 05.
Okay. Yeah, so we were. Yeah, I mean, we were around here and there, from there till now.
Yeah, I mean, I was 14 when River Songs came out, so no, yeah,
14, 95,
15.
96 is when River Songs.
Yeah, so I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I can't do math. 13 or 14. So it's like, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of music, but I wasn't, going out to shows and things like that. But I mean, that Angelina's Coming Home, Fear of Fallen, like that's just, is that right title? Fear of Fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one that record, I think, you never have perspective when you're in it. And so, we were just, that record was just the next logical step for us. It was like we kept making records. And so I don't think any of us knew that it was more special than we were excited than it was our next record, and we kept moving the ball forward. And so all of a sudden that comes out, and like we just kept selling records independently and kept, all of a sudden people wanted to play stuff on the radio. And so for us, it was really just, you were just building on this thing, as opposed to all of a sudden, bam, out of, you went from 0 to 100. I think it was when all of a sudden these people started to fly out to see us play that you knew that it was connecting in some other way than just the next logical step.
And what was that like for you guys? Like to kind of, have that success and all that?
What was it like?
I mean, like it's just like everyone wants to be a rock star. Everyone wants to, create music that people love and enjoy, and they buy and they come to shows. Like everyone wants that, right? That's like the ultimate like goal, and that's the ultimate like outcome for musicians. I think, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people perform because they love to perform, but like to have the success that you guys had, like that's like wow. I mean, what were your thoughts during that process?
I don't know. For me, I never really know that you're in it, and because you're in it, you know what I mean. Like it was never like you reach the top of the mountain, right? Like our guys used to say, and like so you're always moving towards the next thing and moving towards the next thing. And I think that for us, it's not until you kind of step away and are able to look back at it. I don't know, Bret, what's your thought on that? Like, sure. I never really, while we're in it, and be like, we've made it. It was never that moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't want to say like when we actually, you start, then you're playing, places like the LA Forum, and you know what I mean, and playing with your heroes and people you listen to since you're a little kid, and
yeah,
and like, and you're doing that, and it's like, and you thought about that for years as you were coming up, and that's what you wanted, and you thought about it, and then when it happened, I don't want to use the word anticlimactic. It was just kind of like, it was just almost like going to work, it was just, you just kind of did it, you would just kind of get up and do the work. I sometimes I think on a broader sense, like people watch American Idol or something, or The Voice or one of these shows, and there's always like some sort of, story behind the person, where they came from, and, and this is for all the marbles, and what are they, that this is their dream, and this is the backstory, you know what I mean? And I always thought like, a musician's just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And if this doesn't work out, there's a gig tomorrow, mm-hmm. That's kind of the truth of it. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't really think we did a lot of that, a lot of sitting back and saying, oh my God, we could probably do more of that now than we did.
Yeah, not even that, like you kind of sat back and like you thought about it in depth, but like, I mean, I feel like, I've never had, that kind of success. So I don't even know, but like, I feel like, I'm sure without knowing, you guys felt this, like, you're just kind of like, wow, I get to do this. And like, I've reached a level that like people aspire to be at, like, and I'm sure you're thankful for that, and just kind of soaking in the moments and,
just, yeah,
rocking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was filled with, amazing moments that like Bret said, you kind of, I don't know. I remember playing a show with the band, and the band was like our musical heroes. And so all of a sudden we're standing there, having a cigarette with Levon Helm. And it was like, it's, I don't know, it just seemed kind of normal. And it was like, I think, looking back on it now, you're like, holy fuck, that was great. That was pretty awesome. We got to do that.
Yeah. That's neat how you have different perspectives, like, when you're in it and when you're after it's over. And speaking of it being over, I mean, you guys had this success and then kind of, disbanded, so to speak. Like, I'm not asking you to go into details and kind of get any sides or whatever, but like, I mean, did you guys just have different things you wanted to pursue and you kind of stepped away? I know Bret kind of left in 2014. And then Paul left shortly after that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about bands, the thing about bands is this, it's like when you're 25 and you're all living in a van, or if you're lucky and you're pretty successful and you're in a tour bus, and maybe you're all don't have families yet, or you don't have other jobs, and that's pretty much all of your focus, and I think like I'd say that probably one of the times that we were, that was right before we got a record deal. We're like, everybody was at the same point in their life. Everybody was, we're going down this path is what we're going to do. And it was like that. And then later on, then it turns into like, okay, well, one guy's got a job, and another guy's running a studio, and maybe they're doing this, and the other guy has a couple kids, and you know what I mean? And it gets tougher,
Mm-hmm.
It gets tougher to get everybody and get everything moving in a compatible way. You know what I mean? Some people want to do more of this, some people want to do less of this, some people can, some people can't, and that's why you have 5 versions of the Grassroots and the Coasters and older bands like that out there, because some of those guys aren't around anymore. But you know what I mean? Those older bands who have like 1 or 2 members, and so like, for a band like, Aerosmith or Motley Crue, well, Mick Mars just retired, but like bands like that are all sort of like still intact with the original guys. And that's really a rare thing to be able to do 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, the age-old story is just like, it's a relationship, and you have 5 different people with, like you said, different ideas and different stages of life. And, you have a hard time, I with my wife, it's a hard time just even deciding what to eat for dinner. It's like, how do you decide what to do as a band?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, and it's different now because, it's a different animal now. I mean, even now than it was 20 years ago, I mean, like, you don't sell records anymore. They're streaming, it's just such a different game than it was when we started.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You have a new record coming out. I believe it's December 23rd, and it's titled The Badlees, correct?
Just self-titled, yes.
Self-titled. And, yeah, I mean, a lot has changed. I mean, even, since the last record was released, I mean, a lot has changed since then. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how are you guys going to push this record? I mean, like, have you thought about that? Do you not care? Because it's like, hey, you know what? We're back making music. This is a lot of fun. Like, people buy it, great. If not, who cares? Like, it's a different time.
Yeah. Look, I think obviously the whole model got flipped on its head, from when we first started chasing this thing. And so it's like, I think where we start now is like that music on that record was like soul fulfillment, right? So how now do you get that out to the people that, would be looking for it? And that's, that's always going to be the challenge, right? How somebody walks into a warehouse, it's like you can't find anything because there's so much shit there. So, but I think for us, for me, like, I would rather just like, let's let's have this grow organically. And I think good things are going to happen. And it's like, you know, we can control the things that we can control. We can still be a great live band, and we can still go and play and do our thing and sell some records locally, or just, you know, use that to build shows. But, you know, do we have the resources to go chase, you know, the things out there, like, you know, licensing deals and, you know, all the other things that now is where the money lives? You know, I don't know the answer to that question. Bless you, brother. You know, I think when I look at it, Bret might have a different viewpoint. To me, making this record was like a monumental achievement. I was like, holy shit, we made this record, you know. So I don't even know if I'd wrap my head around like what comes next, which we'll probably figure out.
Yeah. You know, I mean, once again, like, you know, for back in the day, you know, I mean, and this still happens for bigger artists now, you know what I mean? But it's like, for back in the day, there'd be this big kind of, you know, there'd be a record and a tour and this, you know, and this big, you know, explosion of stuff every 3 years that an artist would do, you know, whatever their, you know, their tour and their new record and their campaign, and, you know, and all the live shows and merchandising and everything else, and the, you know, the interviews and press and, you know, whatever that would be surrounding a release. Now it's kind of like a little bit more, it's got to be a steady flow, because people's attention spans are so short. You put out a record, you know, and you go everywhere, you know, you make this big bang, and then it just kind of dissipates in a week or two, you know? So,
yeah,
you know, like, I mean, no matter, I think you're better off, you know, making your thing and spreading it out, and you know, just trying to get a little bit of consistency of things to talk about with people, you know, your fans, and you know, just trying to keep them entertained. You know, whether that be live shows, or that be, you know, I don't know, live shows, or a documentary, or a podcast, or you know, just different things you can do to you know, to kind of just keep people entertained and keep people engaged in what you're doing as an artist. And that's kind of a never ending quest now, you know. I mean, the original impetus for us doing a record was we have these shows in 2022 that we have, and we were trying to do something special for each month, right? And, you know, last one of the year is this Kirby show. And I you know, I said in a message once, I said, you know, part of me wants to make it a record release party. You know, so everybody's like, well, that'd be cool, that'd be fun, you know. And so we said, well, we don't know if it'll be, you know, a 2-song, you know, whatever, 2-song, that's not even an EP, single with a bonus track, or it'll be like a 5-song EP, or we'll make a full-length record, or it'll all suck and we don't do anything, you know. So we just set about that task of like, let's start recording some stuff. And this was only a handful of months ago, you know, and we'll see how far we get. And as it worked out, we got pretty far. So, and that was, it really was as simple as that. It was like, you know, let's do this to make this show special. And,
right.
That's really was why we did it, you know. So now going forward, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do, you know, once the music exists.
And how many songs did you end up with?
10.
Great.
Yeah,
they had to come together pretty quick. I mean, you just had that the show last year we mentioned earlier. Like, did the songs just kind of start, you know, coming quick for you guys, or how did that look?
Nobody, I mean,
right.
like, yeah, I mean, nobody knew a song in June, you know. I mean, in June, like, I mean, I had written some songs, but nobody had heard them. You know, that's not that many months ago.
No. Wow. 6 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just kind of like, I don't know, you say, well, you know, here's our, you know, if we want to do this, we're going to have it finished by Thanksgiving. And let's just go backwards and let's start now. And that's our deadline, and see how far we can get, you know. And it was really as simple as that. And that's the one thing I don't know, you know. I still do a lot of producing and I work with a lot of young bands, and I'm babbling here, but But, like one thing about our band that I forget about is when it comes time to do something, like everybody moves, I mean, we're old men, but everybody moves, everybody gets things done, and that's, a lot of musicians don't have that kind of, work on a deadline, work ethic, get it finished, then do it again, then do it again, then do it again. I think that's kind of why it works so well for us in the beginning, from the beginning.
You're professionals. That's what you are.
Yeah.
I think we just held a high standard of, we put ourselves in a cycle of, write a record, record a record, tour the record, and we just kept, rinse and repeat over and over again. And so, for us, it was like we saw, and I think even now we're going to see, that record feeds what's to come after it. Right. And so we had no desire, moving past the initial shows of like, wow, they're back, we're back playing shows. It was like, that was only going to last us, how long? A year before, the novelty would have worn off. It was like, we needed to be at the top of our game. We needed to be, putting out stuff that was new, that we were excited about, and moving the ball forward, because, I don't think any of us wanted to be a nostalgia act. It's like, we should be talking about what we're doing now as opposed to what we've done. What we've done is awesome, but it's exciting to the guys in the band. And like when it's exciting to the guys in the band, I think that now radiates.
For sure. And that's why I didn't want to get too deep into, the deep history of the Badlees. I just kind of want to touch on that because it's really cool. You guys are, you're back, you're moving forward, new music. As far as the show on the 23rd at the FM Kirby Center in downtown Wilkes-Barre, what can people expect from that? And how did that come together? You also have some local talented musicians from Northeastern Pennsylvania as opening acts that night. Talk a little bit about the show, how it came together. And, I know Bret works with a lot of those artists that are on the bill, but how important it was for you guys to kind of include those up and coming acts, or not even up and coming. I mean, I think Dustin Douglas is on that, established, right? Joe Burke is probably the most up and coming on the bill, but just talk about that show coming up.
Yeah, Bret put that one together, so go Bretley.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, like Joe, I've made three EPs with. Yep. I've produced, I think pretty much everything he's done in the last, that I'm aware of anyway, in the last 3-4 years, which I love his music. I love what he does. Mm-hmm. And Joe's has the Husty, Rob and Tim playing with him, Husty Brothers, and AJ jumped. And AJ kind of put the show together as far as like, hey, what do you think of doing something like this? Via Carl Hall and, his club there. And the Kirby as well. So he was kind of like the point person to actually make this thing happen. And Dustin used to be in the band. Years ago, Dustin used to play with the Badlees, and we all know Dustin. And Dustin's a great man, great player, and as well as the rest of the fellas, and Matt and Tommy, and so it's like. It's a little bit of a family affair, Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to all that. And as far as like how it came to be, it was kind of me talking on the phone with AJ, Mm-hmm. Like, like, and all these guys, like I did, and the Badlees guys didn't, but the rest of these guys, a lot of these guys and these other guys, and most of them are native to this area. So like the Kirby Center would be a place that they would have dreamed of playing growing up, mm-hmm. As young musicians. They would have went to see their first shows there. Yeah. So this is a cool night for those guys, as well as us.
Yeah, the Kirby Center is a great venue to have at our disposal.
Yeah.
And AJ works there now, AJ Jump, which is probably a dream job for him. And it's sad to say that by the time this podcast airs, you mentioned Carl Hall. Carl Hall will be closed, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just found that out today.
Yeah, I think their last show is the 10th of December. So I think this will air probably the week of the show. So unfortunately, that'll be it for Carl Hall and in its current space. I feel like there might be possible move down the road, but yeah, it's just you guys came up in a time where there was like clubs and venues to play everywhere, and now it's, I mean, you can kind of speak to that. Like, it's just there's few and far between now.
When we first started playing music, it was like, we were filling our calendar with, every bar, every dive bar, every small concert venue, like literally everything. And there were a lot of them, and it was a nice, it was a nice circle of influence, we like to call it, that we kept, moving on. And I got to tell you, like, I don't know how bands do it now. It's like, because I look at all these live venues closing, it's like, where do you play? Yeah. You can't play at the Kirby Center and bring, 12 people, you know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't work. But like some of the smaller places that used to exist, that if 12 people showed up, it was still a cool show, they don't exist anymore, and that's not just in Wilkes-Barre, that's in Philadelphia, and that's in Germany. It's like, it's all over the place. So, how do you get out there and do what you do? So much of why and how a good live band was by playing, 10,000 hours of, being a good bar band, and like, that's how we honed our skill set. So how do you hone your skill set if you don't have that opportunity out there to go on that playground?
Yeah, and I mean, any band can have a practice space too, right? But there's a difference between, playing with your bandmates in an empty room to practice versus playing in front of an audience where you can kind of vibe off the crowd and kind of, test songs and see how people react to them.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things like about that. It's like, getting out there and playing a 2-hour show when you have 40% of a voice. Mm-hmm. Things like the physical, you're not feeling well. You find yourself in a hostile environment. Either got put on a bill you shouldn't be on because of the style or whatever. Yeah. And then you got to work, maybe if you can't win them over, you got to, at least kind of, you learn that sort of stagecraft stuff of like how to make people feel like, I don't know, how to just be yourself, I guess, is in such a way, and have people go, that's hard to stand in front of an audience, like, I'm sure all of us, it's like you could wake us up out of a sound sleep and throw us on an arena stage and you'd be fine, you just get that sense of comfort about playing a live show, and you can react to things going right or going wrong. And that's part of the great thing about live performances. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't get that practicing all the
time. Right. So a lot of respect to AJ for, taking the risk he did, opening Carl Hall and giving a lot of bands a place to, have their first show or, work those songs out in front of an audience. And hopefully, I'm hoping that, down the road he kind of finds a new place or a new home. But until then, we'll appreciate the effort that was put into Carl Hall, and hopefully people also appreciated that too. More sad news. Christy Alley passed away today.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Now you do. Yeah.
Well,
about an hour or two ago, I think.
She couldn't have been very old, right?
71.
Was she 71? Wow, I didn't know she was that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she had a quick acting cancer. So unfortunately, yeah. Not to get off topic, but
way to bring the interview way down.
This is all about current events too, Badlees shows, stars passing away, unfortunately.
Christine McVie.
But it's part of life. I mean, Bret, you yourself, had a little, I don't want to call it a dance with. You had a kidney transplant.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And how you feeling?
Great. Yeah, I feel really good.
That's great.
Very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, we were a lot of people worried about you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was interesting, in my case, it's like I got lucky. I got lucky on a multitude of levels because, number one, I found a donor, which, I mean, she offered it to me. I didn't ask, so, so that was the first ultimate piece of good fortune for me. And the operation went well. And thirdly, it was like my operation originally was supposed to be on March 20th of 2020. And like all the testing got done early and they moved me up to February 18th of 2020. By March 20th of 2020, the country was shut down.
Yeah.
And they were canceling all elective surgeries. So probably by the time I would have actually been able to get that surgery, I'd have been on dialysis.
Would that have been considered elective?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because there's an option. The option is they put you on dialysis and they wait it out.
Yeah, but Jesus.
Yeah. But I'm saying because they moved me up a month, yeah. I was able to get the transplant and recover and, sit home with everybody else.
Yeah.
Just because of the lucky timing of it.
No, that's great. I'm so happy that things worked out with that and you're healthy and you're here and still working stages.
Very happy Bret's still here.
Not as much as me.
Yeah.
I tell you though, it's like, and Paul and I were having this conversation after one of our shows. It's like, you talk about getting older and all the other things. It's like, every moment that we have doing this and doing it at the level that we're doing it, we can kind of consider a gift, and so you step off stage and it was like these past bunch of shows have been, I think, some of our best, musical shows. I think the shows themselves just really best of our career. And so, like to be able to do that, none of us are spring chickens, like we're all in our 50s and it's like, and I'm still proud of standing up there and doing what we do. And I would still put us up against anybody else. And like, that's pretty awesome. Like that's what excites us, still being able to do this and still being able to do it well. And none of us take any moment that we do this for granted, because it wasn't here, and like, we willed this to existence again.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I mean, and I think a lot of your fans are too. I mean, I know they are. You have a great following, people who love you guys to death. And it's, I'm sure they're so excited to have new music coming from you guys and, the show on the 23rd at the Kirby Center. A lot of good things, man. Like 2023 is like, could be the next big year.
Yeah.
Would you say year of the Badlees? Is that what you just
The
said?
year of the Badlees. That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys, you say you're in your 50s. I mean, look at Bret, fantastic head of hair.
Yeah.
Pete, I mean, the hairstyle you have. I mean, I am jealous of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I should call you and see how I can get that done with mine.
2023 is the year of the Badlees, I think.
Why not?
I would agree.
Right.
Let's make it the year of the Badlees. Who's stopping you?
Huh?
Only you can stop yourselves.
I can't even stop myself. Right.
That's not
Yeah.
As far as the sound of the new record, how does that compare to previous music? Maybe it doesn't. I always talk about how people who have favorite bands, they get pissed off when the new record doesn't sound like the old stuff because you guys should only write certain songs certain ways. God forbid you guys are artists and get creative with shit, right? But how does this compare to previous stuff?
I think because it was done. Excuse me, because it was done so quickly. We didn't have really much time to deconstruct anything or come at basically we kind of had to just use our right hand. You know what I mean? It's kind of like just use the right hook that we have. That comes natural to us. You know what I'm saying? So,
Sure.
so like, I think that we're right in line. I mean, look, we've played it for a bunch of people, you know, and, you know, longtime friends and, you know, people that worked with us and a few fans, you know what I mean? And pretty much consistently people that I've talked to have said that, you know, see, this kind of fits right in with the rest of the catalog, you know, and sounds like it's right in line. You know, that's been pretty consistent. So I don't think we reinvented the wheel. I think I think we stretched on a couple tunes, you know, but it's you know, it's a Badlees record, you know, and I think it's in the wheelhouse.
Very cool.
And these guys are better at being producers, you know, and so I think that, like, you know, look, the five of us are playing on the record, so it's going to sound like us, but, you know, the lens that they're looking at it from, you know, it's nice to see that growth. Obviously, we didn't all of a sudden make a Nine Inch Nails record, but, like, you know, I think it's a current version of the Badlees.
That's cool. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah.
Will there be? I'm guessing, you know, the Badlees they have to have like physical copies, right? Are you guys getting CDs made?
Yeah.
Very cool. And obviously,
we had a whole conversation. It's like, do people buy CDs anymore? Do they not? People still buy CDs.
Your fan base for sure, you know, too.
Yeah.
Much more than I thought.
I miss. Yeah. I used to go to the Gallery of Sound every. It was at one point every Tuesday, and then it changed to every Friday for the new releases. I was going every week, whether there was something I wanted to buy or not, and it became financially irresponsible to do, just because I was spending $50 to $100 every time I was going in there, just because, like I said, I would either want something or I would just, you know, go through the used section or just, you know, look at covers and kind of just pick something. And so with that being said, unfortunately I subscribe to the, you know, the Spotify's of the world and things like that. But I miss the CDs. I miss, like, opening it up and seeing the artwork inside and things like that. And it's like a lost art almost.
I would agree. I'm a big fan, you know, of consuming music that way. I also realize that I am certainly not in the majority, you know, and so I'm not in the majority of people who consume music. Am I in the majority of the people who consume our music? You know, I think that's where I was wrong. I think that our fans still buy records and still want that physical thing and still want to be able to pop it in their car or take it with them, you know, and so it was important for us to actually do CDs too.
Sweet. Any thoughts on vinyl? That's all the rage today. It's expensive though, from what I understand.
I think it's just not a priority at the moment. You know, it's one of those things that's like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
You know, but we have a lot of other ground to cover with some other things before we start.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Or your money.
It's expensive, and the audience is small.
I never got into it. I just was one of those things, like, people say it sounds better. Like, I don't think that's possible. It's just bigger, bulkier. My CD collection, the way it is now, it's massive. I can't afford to be, you know, buying things twice the size of them.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess there's a cool thing, I guess, to it. You know, you put it on and, you know, you kind of sit around and whatever. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, go ahead. I had nothing wrong. Nothing special.
I had nothing to offer. Oh man. Well,
but no, they're like, you know, like, I mean, the Spotify's and the streaming services of the world. I mean, you know, I mean, that's great. You know, I mean, I understand as far as the artists are concerned, and, you know, what the artists get paid per stream, you know, and it's just different, you know. I mean, it's just different. I mean, I use streaming services. You know, you can get, you know, pretty much more music that you can listen to in a lifetime for the price of under the price of one CD 15 years ago, you know, and plus put it all in playlists and play it back in different orders, and you know, and have your whole family enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, like it's not good for the artists in a way, but at the same time, there's other, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. You know, there's, you know, you can. I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to sit at your home computer and upload a bunch of songs and, you know, pay $20 and then it's all over the world for anybody that wants to check it out in a few days.
Yeah, for exposure, or at least the opportunity for exposure is really great. I mean, I just miss. I mean, I've said this 1,000 times on this podcast. I miss the days of going to Blockbuster on a Friday night with, you know, your girlfriend or wife or whatever. I spend more time looking for something to watch on Netflix than I do actually watching something. The last time I listened to a CD or an album from front to back, I couldn't tell you when, because it's almost like you have that FOMO, the fear of missing out, where, you know, you jump to the next song and the next album because there's just so much to consume.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, it was pretty wild the other day. You know, we put out 1,000 Melodies Without Words, and it was like, you know, I remember a day, you know, the day before, Bret and Ron talking about, okay, this is going up, bam. And like, I walked through a space that I had some friends and heard the song blaring over the speakers. And it's like, how cool is it to live in a time where it's like, you can deliver new music, like Bret said, instantaneously, you know, all over the place. And it's like, you know, the challenge now becomes, how do you do what you do within the confines of that structure? You know, how do you monetize, still allow you to do the things, you know, to still be a musician, you know? And so the value is in the experience of the live show, and the value is in the experience of, you know, all these extras. And so, you know, it's awesome. You know, I don't think any of us are going to get rich by the amount of streams that we're going to have on this record. That being said, none of us got rich by all the records we sold when we were in A&M. So, right.
Well, I mean, the coolest part of streaming is like, you now have access to new music from your favorite artist maybe every month or every 6 weeks, as opposed to every 2 years. So, I mean, I love it for that fact too. Like you kind of alluded to, it's like you're more, not more present, but it's just like, it's just fresher, which I like. I like getting new stuff from my favorite artists on a regular basis, as opposed to 2 years.
Content, as Bret alluded to before, it's like, you know, now the game becomes, you have to keep, the cycle used to be every 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Or every 3 record, you know, something new that's out there. It's like that, you know, that all of a sudden is sped up to, it's like once every 2 months, you know, there needs to be something exciting happening.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why you have guys like Weezer doing, you know, EPs every season, you know, and like people just doing singles, you know, like only. So it's like, it's just a different way to exist.
Yeah. I think Ryan Adams released 4 albums this year.
It's crazy.
4.
I believe it.
It's wild.
But you know, I mean, and artists, you know, the other thing too, like I think about, like the artists say, well, oh, you know, I got 1 million plays on Spotify and I made $18 or $20. Well, what, I don't even, you know, I might be way off on the math. I don't even know. But you know, but at the same time, you're saying, well, you know, when you got radio play, you would get more money for radio play. But it's like, okay, Molly, if you're getting 1 play on Afternoon Drive in downtown Manhattan, you're reaching a shitload more than 1 million people with the coverage of that station. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or maybe 5 plays, you know, over the course of a week. Afternoon Drive. So it's like, yeah, you only got 1 play, but millions of people heard it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas Spotify, you're talking every time somebody hits play.
Right.
So
it's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's a different game, you know, and like, And I think a lot of what you're doing as an artist now is you're like making context for people. It's kind of like, I mean, in our case, we've been at it for over 30 years and we're back now, we're doing things, and part of it's what we were. So we remixed and remastered our first full-length record, which happens to be 30 years old. And that people loved that. They thought that was great. And we played a show and we played the whole album, as Pete said. And we did a little VIP thing for a handful of fans, and we, put a little bit of merch out with that. And now we're doing a new record, which other people want to hear. And, then, maybe next year we get into some sort of we're talking about doing some things with Rock Lidditz down in, down towards Lancaster. We're doing some things with those guys, and then doing videos and, doing like a full-fledged music video. Maybe we'll do some sort of small documentary, and kind of like pulling on our past and what we're doing going forward, and just keep, you're creating context for people. You're creating things, to keep people interested in what you do. I mean, and it's an ongoing process, and it's not that's what you do. You hear there's a new Martin Scorsese movie out, you go see it because you like Martin Scorsese. It's not like it's just a different game. It's more like that.
Yeah.
Now than it used to be.
Well, I was going to wrap things up by asking you kind of, what the future held for the Badlees. I think you kind of, touched on some things that, maybe down the road. But, we have the show on the December 23rd, FM Kirby Center. It's Dustin Douglas and the Electric Gentlemen, Joe Burke and company. And then you guys, am I missing?
That's it.
Okay, so
that's everybody. Yep.
3 great bands. The Badlees are back. New album the same day, self-titled. And then obviously 2023, the year of the Badlees. So,
yep,
there we go.
There it is.
But anything concrete for 2023 that you guys know of that you can talk about, or we're just kind of see where the album takes you?
We have some shows booked, and I think that we're gonna kind of put our thinking caps on, and try to figure out some creative ways to do what we do and to keep the ball moving forward. I think that's for sure. This has been doing this record, and the way that we did this record is recording remotely and sending tracks all over the place, and the fact that this all worked. To me, just opened up all these doors of things that we could do to continue on. And it's like, there is no reason why Bret can't write a song on Thursday and record it on, Saturday and Sunday and, put it out on Tuesday. There's no reason why we can't do those things.
Right.
And like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There you go, Bret. Start writing songs.
I'll have one done by Thursday.
Thursday.
That's Monday right now. I expect something on our desk by Saturday, okay?
I'll have it there.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's really great to be able to kind of talk to you guys at length. The guys who, I heard River songs from back in 95 when I was, like I said, 13 years old. And my mom is going to be excited for the new record. I don't know if she knows about it yet, but she introduced me at a very early age to you guys, so I'm thankful for that, and thankful for your health, Bret. Obviously,
Thank you.
It's great to see you that you're still, rocking, and it's good to see you guys back together again. It's kind of where you guys belong. So,
excellent. Happy to be here. Happy to be seen.
Yeah, good to still be doing this.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll see you on the 23rd. I mean, like I said, I've never seen a Badlees show. I'm thinking about getting tickets for my mom. As a Christmas gift. But if people want to buy tickets, where can they go for those?
I think it's the kirbycenter.org. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. I'll put them in the links too.
Or the Kirby Center, they can get them at the Kirby Center box office. They're on Ticketmaster if you want to deal with the evil empire. And,
we don't need you guys crashing the internet like Taylor Swift.
No. I think we're safe. The internet's safe.
I don't know. So you're the Badlees.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I know it's late on a Monday night, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. It shows how you guys have fallen from grace because we're doing big time interviews 30 years ago. And now you're talking to John Popko on a Monday night.
That's right.
I'm sorry. I'm
Why
sorry. But I appreciate it. I really do.
2020, who knows if 2023 isn't the year of John Popko, right?
Maybe you're right. Let's do it.
Maybe we're in on the ground floor here.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. But no, seriously, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And best of luck at the show on the 23rd, and best of luck in 2023 and beyond.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Later.
Awesome. Thanks.